Wraithbone primed. Today I'm going to try and paint the Bladeguard veteran in a Deathwing armour using these colours. And I'm going to start with the Mournfang brown and some airbrush thinner. I'm going to check the consistency of it against the side of the cup, and I needed a few more to get that kind of semi-skimmed milk appearance. I then pass it through an airbrush, but you can kind of put it on with a brush or a sponge, as long as you're getting a nice even coverage, coating the entire model in that Mournfang brown. That's going to be our darkest areas in the recesses. I then go over it with some Zandri dust, which is kind of then our kind of middle ground tone, and it's going to just allow some of that Mournfang brown to show through. So I don't want to coat it entirely, so I am going to angle it down slightly, but I do catch some more than I would do if I was kind of doing a zenithal. Then I use the Ushabti bone, which is much brighter, and I'm just going to be a little gentler with this. And I am passing this through and only trying to catch specific areas that the light would start to hit. And you can see here I'm having to go in quite calmly with it. Next I'm going to put in the highlights, and I'm going to use Wraithbone for this. And you can see here I'm just bringing the highlights in very carefully, and I'm aiming it at the front of the helmet, top of the chest, and along the top of the armour, on the shoulders. I'm also catching the top of the knee pads and around the back. Then I'm going to sort of calm it down a bit and give it this, start to make it look more grimdark. So I use some Seraphim Sepia all over to kind of give it that slightly more muddy appearance. I don't want it to pull too much, but I do kind of put it on heavily and then go back over it, making sure that it's not puddled or pulled anywhere. And if I want to kind of highlight anywhere, I kind of take more of that off. I'm then going to go back over it one last time with the Wraithbone, just very carefully picking out those highlighted areas and raised edges, to give it sort of that kind of more contrast that I want to see in this, rather than the kind of the flat white armour. I'm then going to use the Dark Angel's Green contrast paint on the winged skull on the chest, making sure that I'm covering that nicely and evenly, and on the tabard underneath, which kind of runs from just under the chest plate down and then through between the Bladeguard's legs. Then going to do the eyes with a base coat of Vallejo white, then Fire Dragon Bright, and then Baal red, leaving touches of light at the edge. It should look something like this at this point. Right, next we're going to go on to doing the shield. So I'm going to be quite messy as I apply the Mephiston Red. I have thinned it down, and I will go over it a few times so I don't want a clumpy paint. And then when I've done that, I'm going to neaten it up using the Liberator Gold around the edges and into the centre with the skulls and the crucifix. Now you can see I'm going to just work my way around the model with the rest of the Liberator Gold, picking out anywhere that I can see either on the box art or I feel that it needs it. And it'll have something like this. I'm then going to use some Mournfang brown, or you can use Doomball brown, to pick out any of the other parts of the leather or bags. I'm then going to dry brush some Warpstone Green into the areas I did the green contrast paint earlier, and then some Moot Green for those even bright highlights. Make sure your brush is very dry at that point. And then going to work my way around with some Vallejo Black, any areas where there is the rubberized sort of joints or grips, and then I'm going to finish off any bits that I missed, like the shoulder pauldrons, with that kind of Liberator Gold. And I'm going to paint in my own on the breastplate, my own design, using Mephiston Red and the white scar. And I just used the box art for some ideas. Then you can see I'm just working my way around, and I'm going to add some black onto the blade, ready so I can spray paint that later with some non-metallic metal style. Right, at this point we should be looking like this. I'm going to go over quite heavily with the Agrax Earth shade, and this is where that kind of Grimdark starts to come in. I'm going to use the Agrax Earthshade all over the shield, and I'm going to use it sparingly as I work my way around the model. I'm going to use it to dull down any bright whites you can see there, and any sort of high contrast golds that I want to kind of dull down and give that kind of more weathered look to. I'm not going to put it over the entire armour. I'm going to put it into recesses. Then I'm going to go on to paint the base, and I'm going to use black, Vallejo and white in the areas where the lava will be, although I'm going to go for more of a warp blue at this point to sort of separate them from my other models. And those are the three colours I used, although I didn't end up using the darkest colour. I felt like Macragge Blue was actually the darkest I wanted to go, and you'll see that as I do this. So I used with Temple Guard Blue to start with, just through the airbrush after I've applied a white ink to it, and then Macragge Blue at the edges. However, I did mess up, so you'll see that I oversprayed, so I'm going to go back over it with some ink into the centre. And you can see when I've taken that off, we've got something like this. So it's just the blade left to go. With the blade, there's lots of how-tos out there, but essentially I use some Tamiya masking tape, split it down the middle, either side, and I aim for the middle with the airbrush, and then undo it, do it the other side, and aim for the tops and bottoms, and you get this non-metallic metal look. And that's about ready to go, apart from when I add the Vallejo Fluoro Blue, just to add that glow to the energy sword, and there we have it. That's the finished model. Thanks for listening.